What's going on, everybody? Your man, Eric Wilson. Hey, Sports Arena is still in the building here tonight, and a lot to get to. But before I do anything, let me first say this. Thank you to everyone who's been riding with me along on this journey for the last 11 years. It has been a phenomenal ride, had a bit of ups and downs, but as you clearly can see, your man is back in the house doing what he loves to do, and that's just being real with the people and, of course, talking sports. Before I bring on my guest on tonight, one thing that I'm going to say, I guess until it actually does happen, but we need some justice for Breonna Taylor and Elijah McClain. That being said, tonight's show, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Of course, we're going to talk about the fact that, as one of my former co-hosts used to say, and I actually reached out to her earlier this evening to get permission to be able to use this line because I would feel bad, because this was her line. The Lord and Savior, future Hall of Famer Patrick Lavon Mahomes II, that brother got paid. Definitely going to get into that. Want to talk about the fact that college football may be played in the springtime. Think about that for a minute. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the WNBA and also talk about the NBA. So much to get into. With that, let me welcome in a few friends of mine, starting off. He is Mr. Jake Rongholt, Turning Point Podcast, telling both sides of the story. Jake, good evening, sir. What's going on, brother? How are you?
How you doing, Eric? And happy Monday to you right now. Boy, I did not expect us to have a lot to talk about here tonight. And then, man, just I just can't believe all the sports stories that have just come out. I mean, MLB has their schedule now out there, and then we had Nick Markakis step out, and then of course, we got the Mahomes thing. So this is different, man. I really like it.
Kind of getting back to when we started back 11 years ago, brother. It is. It's a good difference. Nah. Just a polo. Of course, I had to bring in. She just finished up Set the Sales podcast, which she does every Monday night on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I don't know. This girl's all over the place, but let's bring in our girl, Miss Ruth the Truth. Good evening. How are you? What's up?
I am doing great. A lot better than I was feeling last week. I am feeling back to normal, feeling back to myself. So thank you, God. Thank you for everybody who reached out to check in on me, especially you, Eric Wilson. You were awesome. Thank you for calling in and checking in on me. I am doing much better. And I'm so happy to be here to discuss all this craziness that we woke up to on a Monday. Wow, has it been a great time for sports. We don't have any live sports going on. So anytime we get any type of anything, we're all over it. So we're excited to talk tonight.
And of course, last but not least, I would be remiss if I didn't bring this gentleman in. He has truly been an inspiration just to me over the last 2 years. And this brother, we actually had a conversation over the weekend, and I'm like, yo, you need to slow down a little bit, man. But kind enough to join us tonight, Mr. Alex Fleming, Florida Sun Review, Turf Talk, Sports Talk Unfiltered, Buck Report contributor. This brother, Alex, I'm sorry to wake you up, brother, but I'm glad you're here with me tonight, man.
Thank you for having me.
Hey.
We have wakened the beast.
Yes. Yeah, truly we have. So let's get into it, guys. And of course, as I mentioned, to kick the show off here on the Sports Arena tonight, Patrick Mahomes, 503 million, 530 million. I may have my numbers mixed up, but I mean, you want to talk about being set for life. This brother, 2 years in the league, Super Bowl MVP, got a chip. I mean, he is rewriting the history books when it comes to being a quarterback in the NFL. Jake, I want to go first to you and just simply say, looking at this contract and what Kansas City was able to do to just lock down on him for the next 10 years, and we're not even talking about he's still 2 years left on his rookie contract. So we're going to be seeing Mahomes for 12 years, man. I got to get your impact and your thoughts on that.
I'm glad you brought that up, Eric, because starting in 2020, he will make $2.8 million. And in 2021, he'll make $21.4 million. Then that 10-year extension actually starts in the 2022 season. That's when he gets his over $85 million in signing bonuses over the next 3 years at that point. And I think this is like a bullseye move. I mean, the best thing about being in the NFL as a quarterback is that you are going to be paid if you are one of the best quarterbacks. Well, guess what? He's the #1 quarterback in the NFL. And I know that everybody said, oh, this salary cap has been crippled. And no, it hasn't, because they already got Tyrann Mathieu signed. And then I talked to my connection earlier tonight. Now they have enough money where they can be able to pay disgruntled defensive end Chris Jones at this point, because the contract does not start until 2022. So the Chiefs have given them an extra couple of years to really build up this roster, make it a little more veteran friendly. And I mean, going forward, you want this, because this is the best quarterback that the Kansas City Chiefs have had since Len Dawson back when he won Super Bowl IV against the Minnesota Vikings in 1970.
I mean, Jake, I'm looking at this and I'm just asking myself, how was Kansas City able to get it done? And the fact that they were just shows that such investment they have in this young man. Ruth, let me get your opinion on this, because typically these types of contracts we see in baseball. We see these longevity contracts in baseball. Absolutely. So now that Patrick Mahomes is doing this, or is being given this in his second year, and again, he's only been in the league 2 years.
Right.
What does this say for the quarterback
in those 2 years? Which is exactly why I applaud Kansas City for getting this deal done. He's obviously shown that he can take this franchise to having multiple Lombardi trophies. I honestly wanted to ask you guys maybe something we can answer a little bit later on after we speak to Alex and get his take on the Mahomes situation. How many Lombardi trophies do you see Patrick Mahomes being able to bring home to Kansas City in these 10 years? Something that Jake was talking about that I'm glad that he mentioned, something that I was a little worried about, is if you're going to pay this man to this extent, are you going to have the ability to bring in the weapons that he is going to need? I mean, Patrick Mahomes cannot throw the ball to himself. So that's something that I, was kind of, going back and forth with, because when you look at the Patriots and the success that they've had with Tom Brady in the past 20 years, they didn't pay this man to these max contracts that he was getting paid, and they were still able to get it done. So that is something that I kind of feel like Kansas City might have taken a really deep dive in. But I mean, Patrick Mahomes, if you're going to do it for anybody, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes, get that prenup. I know you love your girlfriend and everything, but get that prenup, brother.
Go ahead, Jake.
The best thing about this is that the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes' people already had a good relationship started back in January. They already told Patrick Mahomes he was going to be a $40 million a year quarterback. So they already had this all settled out. And then just remember, a couple months ago, he signed a 5th-year option that was able to, get this $2.8 million, get this $24 million for the next 2 years. And then there was enough where they could sit there and go, all right, Patrick Mahomes is our future for the next 10 years. Not to mention, he has an injury guarantee of $141 million.
Yeah, so that's huge right there. That is huge.
I mean, how much else credit? I mean, and this is also another thing. Hey, Cowboys, this is how you negotiate. This is how you bring a guy who has been proven, who has been ready, and this is exactly what they needed. The Chiefs basically outmatched the Dallas Cowboys in any way possible when it comes to something like this.
Jake, this is why I love you. This is why I love you. This is why you were invited to all the cookouts and all the barbecues, because my man knows how to keep me going. But let me bring my brother Alex in here. Alex, let me ask you, man, does this set the tone for guys like Lamar Jackson? Does this set the tone for guys, who are up and coming? Let's say, oh my goodness, Tua Tagovailoa down the road, or maybe even a Joe Burrow down the road, Jacob Eason, Jake Fromm. Does this set the tone for those guys moving forward, Alex?
All right, Jake Fromm needs to worry about even making the roster after the garbage that he pulled earlier in this offseason. I don't see him replacing Josh Allen. So let's keep him the hell out of this. Number 2, you guys kept saying second year, 2 years. Bro, Patrick Mahomes has been in the game for 3. He sat behind Alex Smith for 1 year. He went to the AFC Championship game and got robbed his second year, and you saw what he did the third year against that bang Niner gang.
My
That was a
apologies.
robbery. That was a robbery on every.
He sat behind Alex Smith. He didn't play, so my apologies for the 2 years that he has played. I digress. Please continue.
There we go.
We've known his name.
All right, so 10 years, $503 million with incentives. Guys, look at it. It's a changing market. Each and every year that goes by, the quarterback franchise tag goes up. So let's think about this in big perspective. He's making bank right now. Right now, he's still on his rookie contract. He's still got 2 years left. That's what Jake was talking about, especially with the extension. But it's going to go in after the 2 years. With that being said, since he already played 3 of the 4 years of the contract, he's basically averaging about $45 million a year with incentives and $141 million and a backup policy. Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson are the next one that are going to set the market. Neither of them are going to get a contract like this. But look for El Freaky to get about half of that contract, a 5-year, maybe $250, $300 million, depending if he can take his team to the Super Bowl this year. Deshaun Watson, I love him, but he needs to get the hell out of Houston. And I think what happens this year is going to be a reflection on whether or not he stays a Texan or whether he leaves to brighter pastures. The NFL has to pay their quarterbacks. That's why they need to have a separate salary or a quarterback market, because this cap hit that Kansas City did is going to shape up the rest of their team for about 10 years now. Look for them in a couple of years to sign a tight end because Travis Kelce is getting long in the tooth. And look for them to put the weapons around them that Ruthie was talking about so that way they can keep this motion going.
All right, Ruth, what was your question you wanted all of us to kind of answer for you?
No, I just wanted to say, in these 10 years, 2031, okay, so like 11 years pretty much, because he's still coming to the end of his 2-year contract. How many Lombardi trophies do you predict that Mahomes is going to be bringing home to Kansas City?
Alex, I'll go right back to you, brother. Give me a number. How many trophies?
Besides the one they already got? 2.
With the amount of money that they're paying this man, 2.
Kansas City went 50 years without even sniffing a Super Bowl, okay? So if this man can get you 3 Super Bowls in a 13, 14-year span, that's a win. 2.
Absolutely.
I mean, also, you got to remind yourself, and also Cowboy fans, you need to know this. How many Super Bowls did Roger Staubach win? 2 Super Bowls. 2 Super Bowls. If he could get 2 more Super Bowls with the Kansas City Chiefs, with Patrick Mahomes as quarterback, that's all they need. This does not mean that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be going to the Super Bowl every single year. It's not possible. Not in the NFL. Parity matters because the Ravens really built up their roster this year. They're going to be even better. Had a fantastic draft. You know, the Titans went on and they signed Ryan Tannehill to that $116 million contract. They also had a good draft. You never know what is going to happen. But what the Chiefs are looking for is this, a face of the franchise, somebody that's going to get them to the playoffs every single year, or at least, 8 of the next 10 years. That's all they're looking for. They're just looking for a reason to go to a Kansas City Chiefs game. You got one. For the first time since 1970, Len Dawson and that amazing defense. That was the story with Hank Stram's crew. This is about Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes making a face for this franchise.
Okay, but Jake, so how many rings basically do you expect Mahomes and the Chiefs to get over this next 12 years? How many?
For that contract to suffice, the amount of money that he's getting, how many wins does he need to bring home to Kansas City?
2 more Super Bowls and a bunch of playoff appearances. That's all he needs.
Okay. Here's my take on what you just said, Jake, because you said it's going to be very difficult for Kansas City to get back to the Super Bowl. Need I remind you, there is a guy who over the last 2 decades played in 9 Super Bowls, okay? And we are saying that he could be potentially on the same level as a Tom Brady, okay? So it stands to reason that I am of the mindset that, in answer to Ruth's question, to suffice, they have to get at least 4 more. They have to get 4 more in order to suffice for that contract. And do I see it happening? I'm saying yes, based on the fact that no one expected Brady, a sixth round, pick 199 guy who wasn't even, they had to create a position for him on the New England Patriots squad for him to get an opportunity. And once he got that opportunity, look at what he did in 20 years on one team. We are saying some of these exact same things about the greatness that is the Lord and Savior, future Hall of Famer, Patrick LaVon Mahomes II. So
But
I'm saying to you,
that was my exact point, though. They didn't have to do what they did with Mahomes to get the wins that they did with Brady. I mean, did they not jump a 10-year extension? It's a lot.
So, in my opinion,
you're putting all your ducks in one basket with this guy.
Okay, but if this one guy, Ruth, if this one guy, and let me bring you just me and you real quick. If this one guy can do and recreate what he did, think about it for a second. This guy went out with an injury and came back 3 weeks later. 3 weeks.
After he got his ankle completely crushed.
People were not expecting Mahomes to even sniff the field. He came back. They're calling him the human cheat code. So if you have something right now that is tangible and you have something right now that you are like, okay, we know we are lined up and set ourselves up for greatness. Because think about it. You've got Travis Kelce. You've got Tyreek Hill. You've got other weapons on this squad. And the AFC East right now, I mean, I'm sorry, not the AFC East, the AFC as a whole, the only competitive team that Kansas City has to face, in my opinion, is Jackson 5. The Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes saga is something that I cannot wait to see. So that's why I say to you, and to Jake's point, and even to Alex, right now, Kansas City is in a prime position to get them victories and get them rings. So if you can lock it in now, you might as well. Go ahead, Jake. I'll give you the final word, and then we are going to move on.
Just real quick. Look, I understand we all want to be able to, put the relation to Tom Brady. He won 6 Super Bowls. He was in it for 9 times. Last guy to actually do that, to even come close to that, was Joe Montana when he won his 4 Super Bowl appearances. John Elway was able to win back-to-back Super Bowls to be able to, ride off into the sunset. It is very tough for me to actually look at this and go, we got the next Tom Brady. It's not possible. It is very difficult for me to look at this and go, oh, yeah, Tom Brady, hey, he got there 9 times. Why can't Patrick Mahomes? I don't see that happening at all. The NFL is going to get stronger. The AFC teams are going to get better as it goes along. It's not always going to be the Chiefs and the Ravens battling it out. It's always going to be another team that rises up, comes out of nowhere, and shocks the world. That's what makes the NFL the most watched sport.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Let's move on here on the sports arena. I've got Alex Fleming, Jake Rongholt, and of course our girl Ruth Kakias. So speaking of quarterbacks in the NFL, got to ask the question: who saw the new New England Patriot Cam Newton video on IG? I know y'all saw it.
Yeah.
I got to get your thoughts on it. So Ruth, I'll go to you, ladies first on this one. What are your thoughts on it?
I think he was making a statement. He was letting everybody know that don't sleep on him. He wants all the doubters to be. He's going to be laughing at the end of the season. Is pretty much what he was saying. Is what I was getting from that video. I mean, he was definitely showing his macho-ness. The workout, all that was great, but he's got to back it up, and I'm hoping that he will.
Jake, what do you think?
I think this is exactly what you need if you're just coming into New England. You sign a 1-year, $7.5 million contract. This is a prove-it contract. He wants to get back to the days of when he was in 2015, when he had 35 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Keep this in mind. He has 182 touchdowns and 108 interceptions in his entire career. Now he is going to a man who was coaching up Tom Brady for years, gave him some of the statistically best seasons of his career. And now Cam Newton's going to have that opportunity. Look, I love it. I love it. However, it's time for you to prove it. Look, you had a foot injury. You had a separated shoulder. I would love it if Cam Newton came out, won 10 games, and was the comeback player of the year. But you know something? Everybody wants to say, oh, Cam, be quiet. You know what? I want more Cam Newton. I want more of this to go on Instagram. I want it on Twitter. I want him to create a campaign of him returning back to the field, because this is one of these things that we need in the NFL.
All right, Alex, I'm going to go to you with this one. You know how I feel about Cam. I have been a supporter of this man since he first came out, even though he had haters and doubters. And when he didn't have a job, I was just as much yelling about this as I am about other things, that the brother needs a job. Do I feel that this contract is not worthy of him? Yes, I do. But I also feel very much like Jake. Cam needs to prove it because of the injuries. But what I am happy to see, and what I want your take on, Alex, is from a brother's perspective, this is about shutting down the haters and reminding people who you are.
Right.
Guys, ladies and gentlemen, brothers have it rough in the NFL right now. Do I need to remind people that Jameis Winston was on the verge of getting the $25 million contract, and then, like a knife in the back, he doesn't even get a contract. They signed Tom Brady, and he gets released, and he has to go to New Orleans for crumbs. He's rebuilding. He's not dead. He's going to be coming back like Freddy Krueger. Cam Newton, Carolina gave up on him. He had Liz Frank and shoulder injuries. He came back after the Liz Frank. He is nice and healthy, by the way. Thank you, SportsMed Analytics. That man is healthy. And Carolina cleaned house. First, they got rid of Rivera in the middle of the season, which I'm glad. Thank you, Combine, because Rivera was an excellent interview, by the way. A lot of players left. Mario Addison and Vernon Butler went to Buffalo. Bradbury went to New York. I mean, they cleaned house. But back to Cameron Newton. This is a prove-it contract, but there's always going to be haters. People hated on Cam Newton his 2011 year when he was Rookie of the Year. People were hating on Cam Newton in 2015 when he was the MVP and led a team 15-1 without their primary wide receiver target. So people are just going to hate. It's in people's nature. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. This is Buffalo's division. Quote me on that. This is Buffalo's
I will mute you. Alex Fleming. Alex Fleming, hold on really quick.
With that being said,
Ruth and Jake, excuse me for a minute. Hold on. You going to sit there with a straight face and tell me that this is now Buffalo's division because Tom Brady's not in it and Cam Newton is in there? Let me remind you, my brother.
This is Buffalo's division.
As good as
Buffalo's division.
As good as Buffalo is, please remember that Cam Newton is the guy who is going to come in and who has worked with less. This man has done it. I've been trying to tell you, and you apparently don't want to register. He has done more with less. So what makes you think he ain't going to come in there and just keep the ship going and they're going to get 10 wins and they're going to make sure that Buffalo does not win this division?
Well, allow me to retort. New England Patriots have one of the toughest schedules this year. Number two, Buffalo is not scared in any way, shape, or form of Cameron Newton. If you think back to 2018, if Zay Jones, the rookie wide receiver, knows how to catch a damn pass, they win that game. Buffalo lost that game to Carolina 9-3. What did they lose it at? In the red zone, because Zay Jones doesn't know how to catch the football. By the way, they sacked Cam Newton 6 times. They're not scared of Cameron Newton. Number two, Buffalo's got the better roster. That's just honest, straight up. Take it how you want to. Sony Michel led that division with 912 yards. Devin Singletary was right behind him. Devin Singletary was actually the better back because he had more receiving yards. Buffalo's got the better wide receivers. Buffalo's got the better corners. Buffalo's got the better defensive line. Buffalo's got the better linebackers now that Cal Van Noy is in New England. Let me say this the last time so you all can understand this. Buffalo runs that division.
And there's the one piece that you have forgotten about. You went through the wide receivers, the offense, the defense, special teams. You went through everybody. And who did you neglect to bring up? The quarterback.
Josh Allen.
So you going to sit there and tell me right now that Josh Allen is better than Cam Newton? I dare you say
He
it.
doesn't
God
have
dare
to
you.
be better than Cam Newton. He doesn't have to be better than Cam Newton. This is what you guys aren't seeming to understand.
Oh,
All
I
right?
get it.
MVP went to Lamar Jackson.
I understand where you're coming from, but you
MVP went to
gotta
Lamar
understand
Jackson.
this.
He had
This is what Cam
3,127
Newton
yards
wants,
and 36 touchdowns. Who won the Super Bowl? That was Patrick Mahomes. Okay? Now, if you look at Kansas City and you look at Baltimore, Baltimore scored more points, was a better fantasy value. Who went to the Super Bowl? Exactly. Kansas City. Just because you got the better quarterback doesn't mean you have the better team.
It starts and ends with the
And
quarterback.
I still won't give Cam Newton a pass for that 2015 Super Bowl performance, 97 yards in the Super Bowl. That is unheard of.
No, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't. But that should be the motivation. That's why Cam Newton is coming out and acting like this. This is exactly what he needs. He needs all these haters to come out against him and say, all right, fine. You want me to prove it? I'm going to prove it. I'm going to come out on that field. I'm going to be healthy. And I'm going to be able to look at this and say, you know what, Bill Belichick, you made it a great investment in me, and I'm going to prove it to you. That's what Cam Newton wants. That's why he's out on Instagram. I mean, this is just perfect. I love it, and I want more of this. I want
all these quarterbacks.
By the way, if I may say,
to take him down, because that's what Cam Newton is doing. That's his campaign going into New England.
Alex, hold on. I'm gonna let Ruth. I'm gonna let Ruth go.
Someone needs to help this man out with the outfits because he was looking like a real big hamburglar with that whole black and white striped outfit.
I don't know what he's doing with his hair either. Like, I don't know. It's odd for me. The whole hairstyle that he's got going on.
Odd. That's just the way he is at Carolina. He wore a flower hat with like a net one time, and this like really short sleeve shirt at a press conference.
Okay. All right, we're not getting into fashion choices here. The bottom line is I feel that Cam now with this humongous chip on his shoulder, bigger than it's been, is going to shock and surprise my man, Mr. Alex Fleming. But
do you feel like that video was more projected to the Carolina Panthers?
I think it was projected to everybody. I think he served notice to everybody. That's my opinion.
And one more thing, Alex is absolutely right about Jameis Winston. He was supposed to get a $20.5 million option, and the Buccaneers said no to that. So he had to settle for a 1 year, $2.5 million contract and has to sit behind a versatile backup. Taysom Hill? So, Alex, you're absolutely right on that last point, too.
All right. Let's move on here on the Sports Arena. Your man, Eric Wilson, alongside Alex Fleming. Ruth the Truth from Sports Talk Florida. Check her out every Monday nights on Set the Sales podcast. And, of course, my man, Jake Rongholt, Turning Point University, telling both sides of the story. So let's go on to the college level, shall we? And there is a possibility that we might not have college football this fall, but we may have it in the spring. Ruth, I want to go to you. What are your thoughts about the potential? Because you're very close, as is Alex and Jake, to the UCF Golden Knights.
Yeah. Well,
what's the thought on that?
I'm a little disappointed, but I understand why they're doing it. It makes sense. The COVID, especially in Florida, everything is spiking. Everything is such an uncertainty right now. Why put these players that are not even getting paid to play? Why put them in harm's way? I don't think that it's worth it for them. I think it's better off that they wait till the spring where they have more time to reanalyze the whole COVID situation and go on from there. I'm excited for a spring, season. Let's see what happens.
Alex, what are your thoughts on that?
There's not going to be any college football. I mean, you're not going to pay me, but yet you want me to risk my life and my health to entertain America, and it wouldn't even protect me about police brutality, let alone probably give me a job after my career in the NCAA is over? Hell to the no. You can kiss my butt.
Right.
Okay. Jake, what do you think?
Clemson, 23 positives. Kansas State, 13 positives. 6 positives. Houston, LSU, 30. And not to mention Alabama is also spiking right now.
They're all party.
College football. It is not going to happen. We're going to have to wait until spring 2021. The Ivy League is doing a very good job with this. They were the first ones to step up when college basketball was at a fork in the road. In March 12th, they canceled the tournament. They know what is up right now. I mean, we're talking about Harvard right now, where they have 40% of their undergraduates that'll be allowed to go on campus, while all the teaching is going to be remote. College sports is not ready for this. This means it's not just college football, it's all fall sports. The percentage of them trying to have a season right now is slim to none. And you can't do this right now. You just can't. And like I said a million times with this, there could be potential lawsuits coming out if a player tests positive or is stuck in quarantine for longer than expected. There's just way too many what if that situation right now. And just like Alex said, why would the football players take a chance on it when all they got is a little bit of scholarship money? They're not even getting paid for this. They're not even going to have that paid for their likeness, like the NCAA promised before this whole COVID-19 thing happened.
All right. Well, we will see.
I knew it was coming when they weren't allowing me to register for on-campus classes for the fall. When they were saying, hey, we're taking all classes again online, I'm just like, oh, I guess we're not having any sports.
Well, there you go. One last football topic before we close out the night here on the Sports Arena. Thank you to everybody for joining us here. And we got some comments. Alex, Joshua Cole Allen is giving you a, hey, what's up? What's going on? And in regards to my original statement when I came on this evening talking about justice for Breonna Taylor and Elijah McClain, of course, my sister Linda Plyer kind enough saying, yes, we do. Alex got a shout right there from Mr. Joshua Cole Allen. So that being said, let me excuse me. Let me ask the three of you. And Alex, I want to start with you on this because on your Saturday show, Turf Talk, you brought up some interesting names for the new name for that team in Washington that plays in the NFC least. I'd like you to reiterate some of those names again to the listeners here tonight. And then I want to go to Ruth and Jake and say your thoughts on the fact that, in my estimation, finally, Dan Snyder got hit in the pocket. And that's the reason why ultimately there will be a name change with that team. But first, let me go to Mr. Turf Talk, every Saturday at 10 a.m., Mr. Alex Fleming, sir.
All right. First and foremost, I've been having little snippets with Washington Redskin fans because I've been hurting their ego because they're going to have to change up the name. First off, when you lose FedEx as a sponsor, that should let you know that you're messing up. When Pepsi wants to pull away from you, that should let you know that you're messing up. When Nike pulls all their material from the online stores and tells you straight up you should probably change your name, gee, I don't know. Maybe it's time that you start switching things up. When the Native American Tribal Council says, hey, we are approaching you for the 13th, 15th, 16th time for you to change the name, and you try to ignore it, maybe that should let you know that your fan base and you need to switch things up. 15 Native American tribes came together just today to approach Washington to say, hey, you know what? We're sick and tired of it. Maybe you should switch things up. I'm in Washington Redskins fan page chat room, and there's nothing but a bunch of bigots, hypocrites, and a whole bunch of cult members who don't want to switch up the name. It's like, I've been a Redskin for life. I'm 50%, 80%, 1/4 Native American. Shut the hell up. All of you guys are a whole bunch of hypocrites who are trying to do this and do that to try to keep a name that, one, doesn't even belong to you, two, should probably belong to Native Americans, but was bought out by George Preston Marshall, who was a devout racist. So all of these ignorant people saying this, saying that, saying it's hell to the Redskins forever, get over your damn self. You thought you'd have Confederate flag statues up forever. That didn't happen. NASCAR thought they'd have Confederate flags flying all over. That didn't happen. You thought you'd have Aunt Jemima all the damn time. That didn't happen. Okay. People are reluctant to change. And let me be the first to say that the Washington Redskins fan page is one of the most miserable fan pages I have ever had the pleasure of visiting or be a part of.
They've been trash for so long. They have other reasons to be miserable. I don't think holding on to a name is something that they should just let it go. You guys need to start a new era, start fresh, get a new name. The times are changing, world's changing. Like, racist is not going to be taking. No, we're taking a stand against this, and it's sad that it had to take all these people pulling away money from them to actually make a move on this. But I'm glad that it's finally happening. Better late than never. I mean, it shouldn't have taken 13 times for them to say, hey, it's time switch things up? Absolutely not. But better late than never. I'm really curious of what the name is going to be. Have you guys heard of any ideas thrown out there? I've heard like the Red Hawks, the Capitals, something like that.
Well, the Capitals is the hockey team.
Yeah.
The name that I would like them to go with, if they really want to make a statement, is the Red Tails, in honor of the Tuskegee Airmen. That's the name that I would want the new Washington team to be. But let me go. Alex, again, your list, sir. You had put out a lot of good names. What were they?
Names for
Washington.
Names. Red Tails, the Tuskegee Airmen, yeah. Warhawks. So that way it still has some tribal and native land to it. The decoders. For those who don't remember, World War I and World War II, they were deciphering and decoding Nazi German radio frequencies so that way they could break in and help. They were instrumental in winning World War I and World War II. And decoders, DC, keep it DC related. Washington, DC, Washington, decoders. I personally like the Red Tails or the Warhawks. I mean, people aren't going to get down with the decoders because, that requires thinking. And we're thinking about the Washington fan base. We don't want to hurt people's head too much. They can't even wrap around how Redskin might just actually be racist. I mean, let's think about it.
Jake, any thoughts from you, sir?
Alex, you hit it on. You hit the nail on the head. It is a slur. I mean, if you go on the definition of Redskin, it's all about racism. It's Native American. I mean, there's a leaked letter to the NFL that's coming out tomorrow. They sent it out today. Native American leaders are demanding a change to the name. It's amazing how we have a guy who was boasting about buying a $1 billion yacht last year and refused to change the name. Suddenly, how do you get after a billionaire who thinks about nothing but money, money, money? Simple. You go for his pocket. And that's what happened with FedEx, Nike, and PepsiCo. Over $620 billion are about to be lost here. Not to mention, you had 3 separate letters from 87 investment firms. 40% of your minority owners want to sell their stake in the team. Hello, Mr. Snyder. You are 139 and 185 and 1. You are 2-5 in the playoffs. You need to do this. You have a brand new coach who knows how to win. You drafted beautifully with Chase Young. And then you got your quarterback out there, Dwayne Haskins, who comes up with this name, Washington Red Tails. And it makes total sense. You want to be able to have this opportunity. This is the time. The movement is at its strongest right now. There are things happening. This is something that needs to happen in the NFL, because if that happens, then guess what? It's going to happen in Major League Baseball with the Cleveland Indians.
Yeah, and I'm very glad that Terry Francona has come out and said that he also is working with the organization about fixing and changing that name. So listen, Jake, you hit the nail on the head. Do you want to hurt someone who has made millions upon millions of dollars? What's the first thing you do? Hit them in the pocketbook. As soon as you do that, things are going to change. So, Ruth, I definitely want to talk to you and Alex and Jake about this, our last topic here tonight on the sports arena. And it is the fact that, ladies and gentlemen, whether you like it or you don't like it, these bubbles in the NBA are getting ready to start.
Yeah.
Players from the NBA are making their way down to Orlando. They're going to be very close to Alex and Jake and Ruthie, and they're going to be getting ready to play their season and ultimately crown a champion. Well, over in my neck of the woods on the west coast of Florida, the WNBA is going to be 20 minutes from my house at the IMG Academy. So I definitely, Ruth, I want to talk to you about this as well as Alex and Jake.
I am super excited that the WNBA has gotten this bubble figured out. It seems like they have all their ducks in the row with the ladies all being facilitated in one area. They're all going to be at the IMG Academy where they're going to be sleeping, the whole 9. And the WNBA has already come out that the ladies are going to be wearing names of women that have been affected with police brutality, including Breonna Taylor, as well as the Vanessa Gillian, who was murdered, and she was a part of our U.S. Army. They're going to be wearing their names on their jerseys. So they want the world to know that, yes, they're going to be playing, and yes, that basketball matters, but they're still going to be fighting for this social injustice that is so important to this movement that is going on in 2020. I am very excited. 77% of the The NBA, the WNBA players have all agreed to this, and it's going to be great. I'm excited. We're looking to crown a
make
championship, like mid-October.
Yeah. I want to make one personal thing here, and I apologize for interrupting, but I just want to take a moment and recognize Maya Moore. This woman, what she has done off the court speaks to a level of greatness that every young girl, in my opinion, should want to be like. Every young woman out there should want to be like a Maya Moore, because what she has done, not only her talent and her skill level on the court, and also being a part of the WNBA, but what she has done off the court. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not looked this woman up, Maya, Maya Moore, Moore, please, please support her, get behind her, love her, because she does tremendous work and needs to I mean, I don't care what award it is, humanitarian, person of the year, she needs all of that.
Right.
I just could not be prouder to just know her story. So I just wanted to get that
coming
out
off of that, Eric, she's actually set the path for a lot of other athletes to let them know that your voice matters. People are going to listen to you because you are in the light. So I'm really glad that she's making these steps, because I feel like people are going to be following suit.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, you know, I want to talk to you about this as well. Just give me your impressions and what you think is going to happen with the WNBA. Do you think that they are going to have a more successful bubble season, if you will, than the NBA? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I'll go first. Why not?
Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Bradenton seems like a good spot for the WNBA, away from Disney and away from all of that noise. Whoever thought it was a good idea to give people a report on where the players are staying at, that's just tragic. WNBA is not going to have that much scrutiny like the NBA is. And for some odd reason, the ladies seem to represent better than the fellas. Now, we're not talking NFL. We're talking basketball and soccer. Soccer is not even a question. The ladies represent. You know, they can clown the men all the time. And the ladies get nowhere near the attention as the fellas in the NBA. But I guarantee you their skill set's going to be there, and they're going to put on a show. The fellas have pressure on them because they got national attention. People are dropping like flies. Last time I checked, 16 out of the 302 players tested positive for COVID-19. Is Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert going to be on the same page? Bro, you and I cover the Magic, so we're happy at the fact that the Nets are falling apart. But what is Jacques Vaughn going to do to get them back on track after Spencer Dinwiddie, DeAndre Jordan, and a whole bunch of other players have either dropped out or have COVID or are Kyrie Irving? So, yes, I think the ladies are going to be more than successful.
There you go. Jake?
The ladies are going to be just fine because they have Elle Deladon, who was one of the biggest faces of the WNBA last year. I mean, she was wall-to-wall national TV, and that playoff system was excellent. And like you said, they don't have the pressure underneath them right now. And the NBA right now, according to Malika Andrews, they are being tested multiple times in one day, just alone to get on the court. And then you also know about Rudy Gobert. Gobert has even told multiple sources that he can't smell correctly. He can't taste food correctly. So he is still dealing with the aftermath of the coronavirus. So we don't know how long this is going to go. But as long as Giannis Antetokounmpo, LeBron James, and all the big-time stars in the NBA are still in, and they're going to play this out, this is what they want. And the WNBA and the NBA have this in common. They are going for the social justice movement. They are going to put names on the jerseys, and they are going to make their own peaceful protests happen here. I think the WNBA will be very successful because guess what? They also can use that Maya Moore story, that wonderful story where a woman takes her Hall of Fame career off alone just to get a wrongfully accused man out. And I just want to say one more thing. It kind of feels like when you watch that documentary 13th, she watched it. She believed that she could put her career on hold and be able to do that and make that into a reality. Hats off to Maya Moore, and I think the women will be just fine.
Go ahead, Alex.
I just wanted to add on to Jake's. Some of the things that are going to be on the back of the NBA male jerseys and probably the WNBA jerseys, for those who aren't listening or refuse to listen, now you're going to have to listen because it's going to be the first sporting event that's going to happen. Stand up, see us, hear us, respect us. How many more? Listen to us. Black Lives Matter. Let me say that one again because it just feels right. Black Lives Matter. I Can't Breathe. Equality, vote, say their names, justice now, peace, and ally.
Wow.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave it here tonight on the Sports Arena. Again, a big thank you to everybody for joining me here. Jake Rongholt, Turning Point Podcast, telling both sides of the story. My man, Alex Fleming. Make sure you check him out. Florida Sun Review, Sports Talk Unfiltered. He does his own show every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. called Turf Talk, bringing sports and politics together. It's actually gotten, over the past 3 weeks, this brother has blown up. And, of course, our girl, Miss Ruth K. Kias from Sports Talk Florida. Check her out on Monday nights at 8 p.m. on Set the Sales podcast. Your man, Eric Wilson, Sports Arena. Much love to everybody. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.
Good night.